The kitchen smelled like lemon cleaner and old stories. Sunlight slanted across the table, catching the deep gouge I carved there at 12 and making it glitter like a scar. I traced it with my fingertip habit, proof, something steady under my hand, and let the memory anchor me while the room tensed. $25,000, Mom said. The words kept the silence as if she'd been waiting for the exact wrong moment to drop a bomb. She sat opposite me, spine straight as a ruler, eyes locked on mine the way a prosecutor studies a witness. Her voice had that practiced warmth that always felt like a blade wrapped in velvet. Barbara stood behind her with her arms folded, chin tilted. Concern practiced to perfection, every sigh and lifted brow measured. Dad watched his hands fold and unfold, his wedding band catching the light like a tiny, indifferent sun. He avoided my face. He had avoided it since I walked into their house 30 minutes ago for what they called a family meeting. This was not a meeting. It was a setup, Mom smiled. A real chance, Aspen, the kind we don't get every day. We thought finally to bring you in. It's time you became part of something bigger. Barbara leaned forward, too eager. We've been organizing this for months. Imagine your name attached to something real. Aren't you always saying you want more of a say? The room smelled of coffee and calculation. I let the accusation hang in the air for a beat, tasting the edges. They expected gratitude. They expected compliance. They didn't expect the hot, small fury that had begun to live under my ribs these last few weeks. You want my savings, I said. My voice was low, controlled an attempt at calm that skated right over the boiling surface. Mom's laugh was smooth. You've always been good at following instructions, Aspen. You're practical, responsible. You can fund it. We'll handle the rest. Of course, you'd get a share. Smaller, naturally, since we're taking on the heavy lifting, Barbara added, quick and sharp, a fair cut. For someone who just wants to be included. Their smiles were so bright they almost hurt. The unsaid rode the room like a weight. After everything, you owe us. After everything, you'll do as you're told. I thought of the 5 years it had taken me double shifts, half-portion dinners, skipping nights out, shelving anything that looked like unnecessary. I had watched my friends spend paychecks on trips and new phones while I forced my account to grow like a secret garden. $25,000 wasn't a number to toss around. It was a life lined up in the future, a new place, a breath, a plan. 3 weeks, Mom said, scrolling her phone like an accomplice prepared to sign the warrant. If that works, I can send the account details now. The word 3 felt smaller than a calendar like a trap with a polite ribbon. Behind their polished routine, something else pulsed in me, a memory Aunt Margaret had tipped into my ear a month ago, quiet as a confession, loud as thunder. I could see her in my small apartment, drying a plate with fingers that shook just a little. There's something you should know, she'd whispered, though we were alone. Her voice dropped, all shadow. Your mother, she called you a mistake. Said your arrival ruined her plans. She never forgave you for that. I remembered the way the towel paused in her hands, how the light fell on her face and made it older. She blamed you for doors that closed, Aunt Margaret said. She made you pay for what wasn't your fault. The past pressed close and invisible, accusing hand. Suddenly, the kitchen was small, the sun harsh. I kept my face still. Silence can be louder than a scream, I thought. It bends people. It forces them to fill the void with their own assumptions. When do you need it? I asked finally, my voice a narrow thing. They glanced at each other, two practice actors sharing a cue. Victory flashed in their eyes, quick and bright. They thought they'd rehearsed me into submission, like they always had. In 3 weeks, Mom repeated, like sealing a deal. I'll send you the account. We can do this smoothly, Aspen. Think of what it could mean. Barbara's smile widened, sharp and hungry. We already have partners waiting. We just need the capital. You love seeing things through, don't you? Be the grown-up here. Dad's fingers paused at the table's edge. He was the only one who registered that something in me had changed, some quiet shift, a line snapped taut. His head tipped slightly, as if listening for a different tune. I could feel my pulse in my throat. This wasn't about the money anymore, not really. It was about the ledger of favors and debts they'd been keeping in the margins of my life. It was about every no I'd swallowed, every borrowed pride they'd collected like rent. For years, I'd been the steady column propping up their storms. Today, I found I no longer wanted to be supporting cast. I'll think about it, I said, and the words were measured because I needed them to land like a seed. I didn't promise. I didn't beg. I didn't give them the footnote they'd been waiting for. Barbara's jaw tightened. Mom's cheeriness folded like paper. The air in the kitchen puckered with something raw and immediate surprise, anger, and patience. Dad finally looked up. Something like pity and fear crossed his face, and for the first time that afternoon, his eyes met mine. Outside. The sunlight continued its indifferent slide across the table, across the gouge. I'd traced since childhood while inside. The quiet between us stretched taut, waiting for what came next. Dad's eyes lift for the first time since I arrived. Just a flicker, sadness, regret, maybe even recognition. But it dies in an instant, swallowed by the safety of staring at his hands again. I nod, slow and deliberate, masking the churn in my chest. I'll need to check my accounts, I say, amazed by how steady my voice sounds. Make sure everything's accessible. Barbara beams, turning to Mom with smug satisfaction. See, I told you she'd come around. Family first, right, Aspen? Family first, those words. They've gutted me for years, excuses dressed as principles, a leash disguised as loyalty. Family first. The reason my paychecks vanished. The reason my weekends disappeared. The reason I bled myself dry to keep their lives afloat. But sitting here now, at this table carved with scars I once thought were mine alone, I feel something different. A shift. The money they want isn't just numbers, it's oxygen. My escape, my future. And for the first time, I wonder if I'm finally done handing it over. 2 days later, Tuesday evening, I sit in my cramped apartment kitchen, staring at my checkbook balanced on my knee. My phone screen glows with Mom's latest demand. Don't forget your contribution this month. Rent's due Friday. Not a birthday greeting. Not once. The memory claws back, my 18th birthday. I can still see Mom's hand sliding an invoice across the table where a cake should have been. Now that you're an adult, she'd said, lips curving into a smile that felt like mockery. It's time you start contributing to household expenses. Dad buried himself in his coffee mug. Barbara smirked over her textbook. I stared at the number. $250, nearly half of what I scraped together from the grocery store each week. When I asked if that meant I could skip weekend shifts at her failing boutique, her smile vanished. Her eyes cut cold. If it weren't for you, we wouldn't be in financial ruin to begin with. That sentence has followed me like a curse. 10 years later, that contribution has grown to $350 a month, not including the emergencies that always seem to strike the second my savings breathe. My keys clatter onto the laminate counter of the apartment. I share with a nursing student I barely see. The place is tiny, the walls thin, the commute long. But the rent is cheap, and here, just here, I can save. I pull my journal from the drawer. Its pages worn from years of hiding my reality. 10 years of ink, charting the same exhausting cycle. The paycheck excitement, the quick math of savings. And then the inevitable text from Mom, March 4th, first raise at work. An extra $175 a month. Maybe I can finally save for a car. March 7th, Mom called. Barbara needs dental work. Car fund gone. August 15th, 5 years. $25,000 saved. Nobody knows but me. I press my hand flat against that last entry. 5 years of double shifts at the admin job I was lucky to land after community college. 5 years of greasy diner weekends, smiling at truckers and families while my own family devoured every cent I'd earned. 5 years of patching old clothes, skipping nights out, counting every grocery item like it was currency dot, and 5 years of deception letting mom believe I was scraping by. While in secret I built something of my own dot, my phone lights up again. This time, Barbara's name. Mom says you're being difficult about the monthly contribution. After everything we've done for you. The words burn. Golden Child Barbara. Named after Grandma. A favorite. Meanwhile me? Aspen, the town where Mom went into labor too soon on a business trip. We couldn't think of anything else, she once told me. We were too stressed with the medical bills. The unspoken addendum rang louder than her voice. The bills you caused. The phone buzzes again. Dad. Rare. His message is short. Your mother's upset. Can you just send the money? I close my eyes, every memory of his silence rushing back. The man who always looked away. The man who let her strip me down month after month, year after year, and I realize his silence has been its own kind of cruelty. Aspen, you home? Ryan's voice carries easily through the thin door, followed by a soft knock. I shove the journal back into the drawer before opening it. He's standing there with a plate of cookies, still steaming. Made too many, he says with a casual shrug, though the concern in his eyes gives him away. He's noticed the dark circles, the extra shifts, the way exhaustion hangs on me like an oversized coat. Thanks, I murmur, taking the plate. The sweetness of the gesture nearly undoes me. Genuine kindness. No strings. No guilt. Just care. Ryan's family calls him every Sunday. I've overheard the laughter through our shared wall-warm, effortless conversations. No demands. No invoices disguised as love. The sound has always felt like listening to a language I was never taught. You okay? He asks, lingering in the doorway. You look worn out. Before I can answer, my phone buzzes. Diane, I should take this, I say quickly. Ryan nods and retreats with a small wave, the kind of respect that feels almost foreign. Aspen, it's Diane. Her voice, warm as always, slips through the receiver like a mother's touch I've never known. You've been skipping lunch again? And you don't look well. Are you sure you're all right? Something catches in my throat. Ryan's cookies? Diane's concern. Two small mercies that feel louder than every demand my family has ever made. I glance at my savings, 5 years of double shifts. Diner weekends, patch clothes, skip dinners out. $25,000, it's not just money. It's proof I can survive without them. Proof I can build a life outside of their control. And now, Mom wants to strip that from me too. Not for opportunity. Not for family. For power. To keep me bound to the scapegoat role she carved for me at birth. My journal lies on the table, its pages heavy with years of their erosion. But the most recent page remains blank, empty, waiting for something new. For the first time, I consider writing a story that doesn't end with me giving in. Wednesday. I slide my time off request across Diane's desk, my fingers trembling. A personal day? She adjusts her glasses, glancing at her screen. Aspen? You haven't taken one in. She taps her keyboard. 2 years? Good heavens, I know, my voice is small. I wouldn't ask if it wasn't important. Diane studies me for a moment, then sighs. Take 2. She scrawls her signature with a flourish and pushes the form back. Call it a doctor's appointment, or call it whatever you need. Just, her eyes soften. Do something that gives you peace. Peace. The word feels like a foreign coin in my hand. Later that afternoon, I sit hunched over a barred computer in a public library 3 towns away. No one from my family would ever think to look for me here. The fluorescent lights hum overhead as I scroll through rental listings in Bellingham, 1,500 miles. 3 states away. Something flutters in my chest as I write down numbers and emails. Terror, or maybe hope, disguised as fear. For the first time, I can see it a real place. Mine. No roommate. No demands. A home that isn't a cage. Not this time. Thursday. I walk into Riverdale Credit Union in borrowed camouflage. Ryan's baseball cap pulled low, oversized sunglasses covering my face. The young banker smiles politely as I slide a cashier's check across the counter. New account? She asks. New life. I whisper before I can stop myself. She prints out the paperwork. Your signature looks a little different than the one on your ID. I glance at the line I've just signed. I'm working on that, and for the first time, I realize I mean it. Saturday. While Mom, Dad, and Barbara preen at Aunt Joanne's baby shower. I slip into the family home with the emergency key they don't even remember I still have. The scent of Mom's gardenia candles wraps around me like an accusation. My stomach tightens as I climb the stairs. My footsteps light but deliberate. I pause at the attic door, breath catching in my throat. There, tucked in the corner, sits a faded blue storage bin. The handwriting on the side makes my heart twist. Dad's careful lettering, softer than his silence ever was. Aspen documents. The box waits in the shadows. Patient, heavy, a vault holding truths I was never meant to find. And as I kneel before it, I know, once it opens, nothing will ever be the same. The attic smells of dust and time. I kneel before the faded blue bin, my hands trembling as I lift the lid. Inside is the paper trail of my entire existence. Birth certificate, social security card, vaccination records, high school diploma. Every document I've begged for, argued for, been denied. They're safer here, Mom always said, her tone final. You just lose them? I clutch the folder to my chest, startled by how light it feels. 28 years of life reduced to a bundle no heavier than a sandwich. That evening, I sit on a park bench, a spiral notebook balanced on my lap. The pond ripples as ducks glide across the water, their reflections breaking apart in the golden sunset. The air is warm, wrapping around me with a gentleness I barely recognize. I write at the top of the page. Things I have survived. The pen moves steadily. Mom's coldness. Barbara's cruelty. Dad's silence. The draining of my bank account. The reminders I wasn't wanted. The accusations that I owed them for existing. I stare at the last line I add, my hand tightening around the pen. Being called a mistake. My entire life. Tearing out the page, I fold it and slip it into my wallet. A talisman. A reminder, whatever happens next. I've already endured the worst they could do. I am not a mistake, I whisper. A duck quacks back, as if in agreement. For the first time in years, I laugh, a sound foreign and fragile, but real. Sunday dinner. The table is dressed with Mom's pot roast, her so-called specialty, reserved for moments when she wants to sweeten the deal before the strike. So, she says, carving the meat with surgical precision, have you made a decision about our family venture? I chew slowly, deliberately. I'm still considering. Barbara scoffs. What's there to consider? It's obvious. I set down my fork. I'd like to see the business plan. Market analysis. Projected returns. My voice is even too even. Mom's knife clatters against her plate. We don't need paperwork. This is family, not a corporate deal. Barbara leans forward, her smile sharp. Actually, we were thinking we could make things simpler. Just add us as signatories on your accounts. That way we can manage everything more efficiently. Dad clears his throat. Maybe we should give Aspen time. She's had plenty of time. Mom snaps, her voice cutting. This opportunity won't wait forever. I lock eyes with her. What exactly is this opportunity? The silence that follows is the answer. Barbara's voice tightens. We're finalizing details. I see. I take another bite, calm settling into me like steel. It isn't anger this time. It's clarity. The simple knowledge that I've already left them behind in every way that matters. Monday. Diane calls me into her office, and my stomach knots. I'm sure she's uncovered my secret plans. Instead, she slides a folder across the desk. Good news. That branch transfer you asked about? Bellingham has an opening next month. I put in a recommendation. My breath catches. You what? Don't look so shocked. She smiles knowingly. You're one of our best. They'll be lucky to have you. I can barely whisper, thank you. I don't know what to say. Say you'll send a postcard, she replies, and that you'll finally stop letting people drain the life out of you. Her words land like a key in a lock. That night, Ryan helps me sift through my meager possessions in the apartment we share. I can drive your stuff up, he offers, his voice steady. When you're ready, I glance at him, struck again by the quiet, uncomplicated kindness he gives so freely. A kindness my family never did. And for the first time, I feel it clearly. This is the beginning of the end of being their scapegoat, the end of their control, the end of me believing I am a mistake. The page in my journal is waiting, and this time, I know exactly what I'm going to write. Asterisk Ryan folds a sweater with surprising care, his grin crooked. My band's playing Portland that weekend anyway. I'll haul your stuff up after. You don't have to do that. I know, he shrugs. But friends help friends escape cages. Friends. The word feels foreign on my tongue, but it fits like a light switched on in a room I'd forgotten existed. In my bedroom, I sort through the relics of a life spent surviving. Most of it goes into bags for donation souvenirs of invisibility, but a few treasures stay. Grandma Cox's thimble collection, the watercolor that once earned me third place at the county fair, the snow globe Dad brought back from Chicago. On my laptop, the cursor blinks beside the lease agreement for a tiny studio in Bellingham, all sunlight and freedom. I sign. Then, for security, I pay 3 months in advance. It's mine. My place. That same night, I book a one-way ticket. Departure date, the very day of my family's business meeting. My phone buzzes. Aunt Margaret's voice crackles through the line. Are you sure about this? I've never been more sure of anything. I won't tell them where you've gone. But you know, they'll figure it out eventually. By then, I whisper, I'll be strong enough to handle it. In my closet waits a small gift bag. Inside, a burgundy silk scarf, Mom's favorite color, and a sealed letter that holds every truth I've never had the courage to speak. Some goodbyes need silence. Some need ink. A week later, I stand on my parents' porch. The gift bag dangles from my hand. My chest pounds, my breath shallow. Behind this door awaits the family that twisted me into something I was never meant to be. Tonight, I unmake their hold on me. Barbara opens the door, her eyes flicking to the bag. What's that? Just a little something. My voice is calm, almost too calm. Can I come in? She studies me, searching for weakness. When she finds none, she steps aside. Mom's in one of her moods, she mutters. The dining room is staged like a play I've seen 100 times. Mom tugging at the tablecloth, Dad laying silverware with robotic motions. There she is, Mom says without looking up. Late again, traffic, I lie. In truth, I've been around the corner for 20 minutes, rehearsing the exit. Dinner drags. Small talk, barbed comments, the same suffocating rhythm. I nod, I smile, I wait. The gift bag sits by my chair like a silent accomplice. Finally, Mom pushes her plate away with a sharp sigh. Let's get to business. Dad gathers dishes, his hands shaking. Mom produces a folder, sliding it toward me. Simplest way forward, you sign these. Power of attorney. We'll handle the finances for you, Barbara adds sweetly. It's just helping a little sister who's never been great with decisions. You're better at following instructions. I stare at the pages. My name, inked over and over, tied to a future where I have nothing left. Mom leans forward, her voice cold steel. Family takes care of family. After everything we've done for you, after everything we've sacrificed, you owe us this. Dad returns, sits down, eyes lowered, silent, always silent. The air grows heavy with expectation. You're right. I say at last. Mom and Barbara exchange smug glances. Dad sinks further into himself. I've thought about everything. I continue, reaching for the bag at my side. And I've decided to give you something far more valuable than money. Confusion flashes across Mom's face. What are you talking about? Open it, I say softly. Her fingers fumble with the tissue paper, pulling out the burgundy silk scarf. Beneath it, the envelope with her name and my Anita script. Her voice loses its edge. What is this? My goodbye. I rise, my chair scraping against the floor. I know the truth now, why you call me the mistake. About the deal you lost. About everything. Barbara gasps, venom in her tone. That meddling Margaret, I forgive you. The words surprise even me, but they feel final, freeing. And I'm leaving tonight. There's nothing more to discuss. I turn for the door, my chest light for the first time in years. Behind me, paper tears open. The letter unfolds. My truths spill into their silence, and I walk away. Asterisk, you can't just... Barbara starts. I already have. My voice slices through her protest like glass. I don't turn back. My things are gone. My apartment's empty. My new job starts next week. Dad's chair scrapes against the tile. For the first time in years, his eyes find mine. There's no fog, no coward's retreat, just a quiet truth. Be safe, he whispers till I step outside. The evening air hits me like a baptism. 30 minutes later, my phone buzzes in my pocket, Mom's name flashing on the screen. I let it ring and ring. It will keep ringing for days, maybe weeks. Then Barbara's text will follow. Mom's having a breakdown. How could you do this after everything we've done for you? I don't answer. In my rearview mirror, the only home I've ever known shrinks to a blur of siding and shadows, until it disappears completely. At the airport, I hand over my ticket, board the plane, and power down my old phone for the last time. Tomorrow, I'll turn on a new one. Tomorrow, I'll wake up in a city where no one calls me a mistake. Tonight, I fly as just Aspen, not a daughter, not a scapegoat, not a mistake. 2 days later, Lisa pounds on the door of my old apartment, knuckles red and raw. Aspen Marie Cox. Open this door right now. Barbara paces behind her, phone pressed tight to her ear. The landlord leans against the wall, arms crossed. She moved out 3 days ago. Paid her last month. Left the keys. Barbara lowers her phone, her face tightening. What do you mean moved? Exactly what I said, he replies. She seemed happy. Happier than I ever saw her. Lisa storms inside, tearing open drawers. The walls are bare. My things long gone. Her stuff is gone. Barbara mutters. She kept her bank statements here. Lisa growls, yanking another drawer. Empty. Ladies, the landlord says firmly, I need to lock up. The new tenant arrives tomorrow. This is a family emergency. Lisa snaps. Your emergency, he replies, pocketing the keys. Not mine. Outside, Barbara's hands shake as she jabs at her phone. The bank won't tell me anything. I'm not on her accounts. Lisa's face darkens. She couldn't have gone far. Not with her salary. call her work. That evening, Barbara's voice cracks through Mom's speakerphone. She transferred branches, Montana. Montana? Lisa shrieks. Who does she know in Montana? No one, Dad says quietly. His voice, for once, steady. That's probably why she chose it. 3 states away. Sunlight filters through blinds I chose. My apartment is small, barely room for the kitchenette and bathroom, but every inch belongs to me. From my window, dawn spills gold across the mountains. That view costs an extra $70 a month, but every morning it whispers the same reminder. I chose this. I chose me. My phone buzzes. First day. Anxiety flutters in my chest, but it isn't dread anymore. It's anticipation. The new office looks like my old one, but I walk in taller, steadier. You must be Aspen, a woman with silver hair says, extending her hand. Diane told me you're one of the best. Thank you for the opportunity, I reply. My voice strong, so different from the girl who once flinched through family dinners not at lunch. I slip into a coffee shop. The barista smiles. Your usual? Then couches himself. Oh, you're new. Yes, I say simply. Vanilla latte, no mental calculations. No phantom voice reminding me what the money should have bought for someone else. The cup warms my hands. The first sip floods through me. This is what freedom tastes like. Asterisk. 3 months slip by in a blur of new routines and quiet evenings that belong to no one but me. My mornings begin with mountain light spilling through my blinds. My nights end with silence that soothes rather than suffocates. Then my work phone rings. An unfamiliar number. Aspen Cox speaking. A pause. Then a voice I know too well. Aspen. My mother's tone is thinner than I remember, stretched and trembling. Thank God, we've been trying to reach you for months. Ice crawls down my spine. How did you get this number? That doesn't matter. Her words sharpen, urgency dripping like poison. It's your father. His heart. The doctors say surgery. The insurance won't cover everything. We need you to come home. Old guilt claws at my throat. For a second, I almost choke on it, almost. But then something steadier rises. I'm sorry to hear about Dad, I say softly and mean it. But I can't come home. Her voice hardens into the hammer I know best. Can't or won't. After everything we've done for you, I hang up. My hand trembles, but my resolve doesn't. That night, Barbara's email arrives. Subject line, family obligations. Inside, thinly veiled threats about filial responsibility laws. Legal jargon meant to drag me back into the cage. Aunt Margaret calls minutes later. Her voice is clipped. They're planning to visit. Lisa found your address through that friend of yours at the diner. Next weekend, they're talking about driving out. Cold sweeps through me, but I don't panic. Instead, I make a list up. By Wednesday, I'm sitting across from Patricia Wells, a lawyer with steel in her eyes. They have no legal claim to your money, she confirms after hearing everything. A cease and desist should stop them, but if not, we escalate. Restraining order. The words feel like armor being strapped to my skin. That same afternoon, I sit with HR. I need to document a potential harassment situation, I explain evenly. My family may attempt to contact me here. Asterisk, the manager doesn't hesitate. We'll alert security, change your direct line. Employee safety is a priority. That evening, I call Aunt Margaret. I love you, I tell her. But you need to understand. I'm not hiding anymore. I'm standing my ground. If they come here, they'll meet the law, not me. Silence. Then her voice cracks with something between pride and grief. You sound different. I'm different. 2 days later, an envelope arrives. My mother's handwriting crawls across it. Inside, a tear-stained letter, thick with accusations and pleas. At the bottom, a single line that stuns me. I don't know who you are anymore. I fold it neatly. Place it in a box labeled before. Then I open my window, let the mountain air fill my lungs. She's right. She doesn't know me. Truth is, neither did I until now, 1 year. The calendar on my wall confirms it, though my heart already knows. A year since I left the cage. A year since I stopped being a mistake and started being me. Sunlight pours across my apartment, the watercolor mountains, above my reading chair, the succulents thriving on my sill, the books I no longer have to hide. Every corner hums with choice. My choice.my phone buzzes not with demands, but with joy. Birthday messages, not the obligatory family texts weighted with resentment, but warm words from people who simply care. Diane from work. Ryan, who hauled my boxes. Friends from pottery class. Looking forward to celebrating you. Text Marissa, my closest friend here. No hidden hooks. No guilt. Just love. For the first time in my life, the phrase rings true. This is what it means to be wanted. Asterisk pure, uncomplicated affection and unfamiliar luxury. I shower, dress for work, and choose a burgundy blouse I would once have called too showy. Now it feels right. In the mirror, a woman meets her own gaze without flinching. She stands straight. At my desk, a small envelope waits. Inside a card, congratulations on your promotion. Signed by the whole department. Your attention to detail and initiative have been invaluable. My eyes sting not only for the raise that widens the gap between me and old debts, but because someone finally sees my worth without asking for payment in return. That night, friends surround me at a small restaurant. Someone brings a cake and the candles glow while I blow them out, no lecture about who should pay. Back in my apartment later, I open my journal and write, today I turned 29. My savings topped $10,000. Money that's truly mine. I slept through the night. The nightmares about collectors and family crises have mostly stopped. Healing isn't linear. Dr. Andrews tells me in her calm office each Thursday, but I can feel the change. Boundaries aren't selfish. They're survival. Some sessions leave me hollowed out, others lighter, always clearer. Her words stitch together the parts of me I'd left in other people's pockets. On Saturdays, I volunteer at a community garden, my hands in soil that grows things I didn't have to borrow. Last month, Michael, an accountant from the garden, asked me out. We talked until the sun went down. When he asked about family, I told him the truth, not every detail, but enough. He didn't run. He listened. Mail still arrives from the life I left. Mom's card this year, her name at the bottom, no note. Barbara texts about some drama, fishing for the reaction she used to get. Dad's letters come like fragile rope bridges. I step across carefully, answering with short, kind notes that keep me whole. Then, unexpectedly, a letter from Jesse, my 19-year-old cousin. Aunt Lisa says you abandoned the family, he wrote. But something about how they talk about you doesn't feel right. I'm working 2 jobs and Mom keeps saying I owe her for raising me. What do I do? My hands shook as I dialed. For an hour I listened echoes of my own life and told him what I needed to hear. You're not crazy. You're not alone. I stand in front of a small framed quote on my wall. Some call it a mistake. I call it a beginning. The words make sense now in my mouth. The name they gave me for a moment of inconvenience, the town she passed through, has become the root of something sturdier and truer. This morning, on my birthday, I watched the sunrise paint the mountains outside my window. 2 years ago, I couldn't have imagined this life. Now I can't imagine returning to the old one. I touch the frame and say the truth aloud. The family you are born into gives you a start. The family you choose decides your future.